The saga of the Jersey Devil blends myth and reality in ways to intrigue skeptics and believers alike. It's a tale populated not only by demons, but by religious outcasts, breathless eyewitnesses, disingenuous hucksters, and even a founding father. I'm Tyler Martin, and this is Monsters from the Id. The New Jersey Pine Barrens can seem like another world. Though civilization lies just a few miles away, visitors are often struck by a profound sense of solitude. The further one ventures into this dense woodland, the greater the feeling of isolation. For some, this sensation can become oppressive, even frightening, for it is here that a devil is said to dwell. For many generations, the Jersey Devil has haunted the Pine Barrens and captured the imagination of the wider world, inspiring a wealth of folklore and waves of public hysteria. Witnesses continue to come forward with claims that they have encountered something strange and terrifying in these parts, something that occasionally leaves a trail of hoofed footprints and missing livestock in its wake. Some curious parties comb the woods for evidence, while others sift through the morass of credible history and incredible legends in their attempts to trace the devil's origins. One finds in the traditions of the region's indigenous Lenape tribe a deity called Mising, a deer-like being with leathery wings, which was worshipped as a guardian of the Pine Lands. Puritan settlers were quick to equate this entity, as they did so much else, with Lucifer, and the image of Mising, reinterpreted as a manifestation of Satan, may well have influenced what came to be known as the Leeds Devil. The most widely circulated accounts of this creature's birth generally contain some variation of the following. Once upon a time, a woman known as Mother Leeds, appalled to find herself pregnant for the 13th time, cried out, "Let this one be a devil!" And lo, she gave birth not to a human child, but a monstrosity with bat-like wings, hoofed feet, and a horse's head. The creature promptly flew up the chimney and out into the barrens to begin its reign of terror. In some versions, the mother is a witch, and her offspring the result of a liaison with the Prince of Darkness himself. The fabled Mother Leeds may have been inspired by a real woman named Anne Hutchinson, who, in the early to mid-17th century, boldly criticized the religious doctrine of the ruling Puritans in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Not long after being banished from Boston for her heresies, Hutchinson, pregnant for the 16th time, gave birth to a severely deformed child. Like other so-called monstrous births, this was seen as divine punishment for defying the laws of God, or at least those of his self-appointed representatives. As Mother Leeds herself probably never existed, it seems the name is owed to a now-forgotten mystic. Born in England, Daniel Leeds arrived in New Jersey with his family in 1677. A devout Quaker, Leeds was keenly interested in science, mathematics, and astrology. His pursuits in these fields, as well as a series of spiritual visions, led to the development of a distinct religious philosophy which he fervently wished to share in print. This took the form of the Leeds Almanac, the first almanac ever published in New Jersey. But instead of meeting with praise and acceptance, Leeds's writings were rejected by the Quaker elites, who judged them to be rife with paganism. Deeply stung, Leeds broke from his religious practice and went on the attack. Fierce exchanges of criticism between Leeds and his foes escalated into what came to be known as the Pamphlet Wars, with the once gentle philosopher snidely insulting his critics, who in turn labeled him, among other things, Satan's harbinger, or even the devil himself. As if this weren't enough, Leeds earned further disdain by aligning himself with the British Crown. He became a counselor to Lord Cornbury, the British governor of New Jersey, and used his position to maneuver against the Quakers. Eventually, political pressure forced Daniel Leeds to retire. The almanac was taken over by his son Titan, who continued running it well after his father's death in 1720. Despite his efforts to distance himself from controversy, Titan was still the son of Satan's harbinger, and this curse would plague him for the rest of his days and beyond. Even in the face of Quaker censure, the Leeds Almanac was still going strong in 1732 when the demon of competition reared its ghastly head. An enterprising young printer named Benjamin Franklin got in on the action with Poor Richard's Almanac. In humorous, tongue-in-cheek style, Franklin set out to demolish his rival. Under a pseudonym, he claimed to predict the date of Titan Leeds' death, a prophecy that failed to transpire. After the fashion of his father, the younger Leeds angrily shot back at this and other outrageous claims, to which Franklin responded that his opponent must surely have been raised from the dead and made to abuse his old friend, perpetuating the Leeds family's association with devilish and supernatural forces. This feuding, typical of the day, continued, and Poor Richard's sales soon eclipsed those of the Leeds Almanac. Even after Titan Leeds actually passed away some years later, Franklin continued to ridicule his late opponent. Poor Richard's Almanac went on to become the most famous publication of its kind, and its creator one of the most revered figures in American history, while the Leeds family, in spite of their infamy, soon faded into obscurity. But the seeds had been sown for what would eventually become the legend of the Leeds, or Jersey, Devil. As the years passed and settlers and scientists ventured into the interior of the American continent, the newly found nation was spellbound by astonishing new discoveries, such as unfamiliar living animals and the imposing remains of bygone behemoths. The growth of interest in the natural sciences and the allure of the great unknown before them contributed to a widespread acceptance of monsters. With such wondrous findings holding the public imagination in thrall, many saw financial opportunity. Bizarre brutes like the Cardiff Giant and the infamous Fiji Mermaid fascinated curious citizens who took presenters' cockamamie tales at face value, shelling out cash to get a peek at these strange new wonders before they were eventually exposed as frauds. To boost sales, newspapers regularly ran sensational stories of strange phenomena with little regard for factuality, and monsters in particular sold plenty of copy. In the midst of this monster mania, stories of devils in the Pine Barrens would occasionally crop up. It would appear that vaguely remembered murmurings of the name Leeds and its once sinister connotations had led to the creation of something called the Leeds Devil. It is hard to say exactly when the tale of Mother Leeds originated, but accounts of her demonic progeny occasionally found their way into the papers and excited some level of interest from time to time before slipping back into the domain of obscure local folklore. That changed in the winter of 1909, when a newspaper in South Jersey ran a small item claiming that the devil had been sighted on a farm and left behind footprints in the snow. This was quickly followed by an explosion of reported sightings, many accompanied by curious hoof marks. This resulted in no small stir among the local populace, who were now convinced that a monster was prowling in their midst. Philadelphia promoter Norman Jeffries, looking to drum up business for the 9th and Arch Street Dime Museum, was inspired by these accounts and resolved to give customers a real devil, starting with a much ballyhooed hunt for the beast. A Ringling Brothers clown, presumably out of makeup, headed an expedition into the woods. After much shouting and gunfire, the party returned with a covered cart containing a quarry which soon went on display in the 9th and Arch. The public flocked to see the captured devil, actually a hapless kangaroo painted with stripes and fitted with false wings. The poor animal was prodded from concealment, causing it to jump and shriek to the delight of the crowd. This blatant sham was eventually exposed, but what of the sightings that inspired it? It is this infamous flap of 1909, widely considered the Jersey Devil's finest hour, that proponents turned to as evidence for the existence of the creature. After all, had not a postmaster, a city councilman, and other upstanding witnesses not come forward to testify to their hair-raising experiences? But as it turns out, Jeffrey's stunt was a hoax begotten by yet another hoax. Years after the fact, Ivan T. Sanderson, one of the founding fathers of cryptozoology, set out to uncover the truth, and found it, right down to the fake feet used to make the tracks. The whole thing had begun as a real estate ruse intended to scare landowners into selling at low rates, for fear that the devil may be lurking on their property. Stories of sightings were planted in the newspapers. Others that followed were more likely terror-fueled flights of imagination than run-ins with an actual monster. Many other accounts have been reeled off through the years, some involving notable figures. It is said that the naval hero Stephen Decatur, overseeing the production of cannonballs at a foundry in the Pine Barrens, observed and opened fire on the creature to no effect. Joseph Bonaparte, exiled brother of Napoleon, is alleged to have happened upon the devil while hunting on his estate in Bordentown. Yarns such as these are repeated endlessly and accepted uncritically in some circles despite a marked lack of contemporary records to back them up. As we navigate the labyrinth of Jersey Devil lore, it seems that wherever we turn, we are met with so much smoke. So where, pray tell, is the fire? Stretching across much of the Garden State, the New Jersey Pine Barrens is the largest remaining ecosystem of its kind. It houses a rich diversity of flora and fauna, much of it quite rare, but nothing on record approaches the chimeric strangeness of the Jersey Devil. If such a beast does exist, the odds of it being Mother Leeds' demonic baby are long, to say the least. This naturally begs the question, what do people keep seeing? Researcher Loren Coleman notes that the term Jersey Devil has become a catch-all for any anomalous creature reported in the state, regardless of its nature or physical description. Everything from non-native big cats to curious rodents to upright hairy hominids have been designated Jersey Devils. This can cause headaches for anyone seeking to make sense of the abundance of strangeness recorded in the state, of which the bat-winged abomination under discussion comprises just one, admittedly noteworthy piece. Common explanations include misidentified local wildlife or escaped exotic animals, but many witnesses contend that what they have seen is something altogether different. The evidence on hand would seem to suggest that the Jersey Devil is not a biological entity, but a legend which holds a treasured place in American folklore and popular culture, something that has long since passed from the realm of plausibility, if it was ever truly there, into the land of make-believe. Yet to those who have seen the devil for themselves, it is more than a myth, more than a hoax, more than a war of words. For them, the Jersey Devil is alive, and he isn't going anywhere. Wrapping up, I have to wonder how Daniel Leeds would have felt about all this. What say you? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe for more Monsters from the Id. As always, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.